Hey everyone, I'm so glad that you joined me tonight for this online class, Healthy Foods Can Be Tasty Foods Too. Now, I know many of you have reached out and had these questions over the years. You want to make some changes. You want to feel better. You want to change your diet, but you're afraid to. And one of the reasons is because we like food and we like food to taste good, and you have some of your old favorites. And making changes sometimes can be difficult. So I want to share with you tonight some examples of foods that you can actually trade and still get not only great tasting foods, but also foods that are good for you and will give you the results that you really want for your health and for the health of your family. Now, one of the areas that I like to start is being able to trade in drinks. If you could trade in some of your drinks for water and essential oils and some of these things, let me tell you why this is a good idea. First of all, there was a study that came out, or an article that came out just recently, and it said 45% of Americans' intake of sugar comes from drinks. That's almost half of our sugar intake. Now that's an average. So many times it's way more and sometimes it could be less. However, I have found that many our calorie intake, it could be about 45% just from all those drinks. So 45% of Americans' calories can come from this as well as the cost. Stop and think about this. I actually am a health coach, and I had an interview with a guy not too long ago, and I do a personal wellness assessment, and I invite you to take it too. It's free and it's online, simple to do. But I invited him to do this because he is on blood pressure medication for life, and he's only in his 30s. He's got a young family, and he wants to get off his blood pressure medication. So he came to me and he says, "Can you help me?" So sure. So we took the wellness assessment, and one thing I noticed on the assessment and why this is so valuable is it helps me know where he is, what he's doing, what his habits are, and how I can help the best. One of the things that he noted on there is that he rarely drinks water. He just drinks sodas throughout the day. While he works, he leaves early in the morning, he's gone all day long. So he's chugging down sodas all day long. So when I got to the end of the interview, one thing I recommended was a detox and some supplements and some essential oils and a really whole program of eating. And to start off with, this wasn't a monthly thing, but to start with was around $250 to $300. That was really kind of the starting point. And he's freaked out. I don't have this kind of money. I just can't do this. And so I went back to his wellness assessment. I said, "Hey, according to your wellness assessment, you're spending money on soft drinks every day. How many do you buy on a daily basis?" And he told me, 5 or 6 probably. I says, "What does that amount to?" And he said, "Well, probably $10 to $15, depending on the day." And I said, $10 times 30 days, how much are you spending just on soft drinks alone? And he said, "Oh my gosh, really between $300 and $400 a month." People justify buying a $5, $7 drink ongoing every day, 2 or 3 times sometimes, but they don't really think that it adds up. In a month, you could be spending $300 to $400 on soft drinks alone, and on sport drinks, and on Starbucks and juices and all of these other things that add up. So if your calories can be 45% of your intake of foods, and your sugar is 45% of your sugar intake, and your budget is blown way out of proportion just by your drinks. How about let's do some things differently? So this is one of my favorite summer drinks. I love it in the summertime. It's a very nice coolant. I call it a spearmint lime cooler. So basically, for 2 quarts of water, I add 2 drops of spearmint essential oil and 10 to 12 drops of lime. And then I add a few drops of stevia. Now, sometimes people like it sweet, and some people don't like it sweet at all. You don't have to put any sweetening at all, but if you like a little sweetening, this is a great thing to add to it. Keep it in the refrigerator, add ice. It's just a very nice refreshment, okay? Another thing that you can do winter or summer, any time of the year, is make herbal teas. Now, in the winter, of course, I like them warm, but in the summertime, it's nice to make any type of herbal tea. Now, here's some examples. This is an everyday tea detox, and it's a great combination of just good herbal detox herbs. There's perfect peach, there's sweet and spicy, there's just tons out there. But after I make it, I like to add a few drops of stevia, and then I add my essential oils. Now, one of my favorite combinations is sometimes I just add cinnamon, a drop of cinnamon or 2 drops. Sometimes a drop or 2 of both cinnamon and wild orange is great. But one of my favorite combinations is 2 drops each of cinnamon, wild orange, ginger, turmeric, and black pepper. 2 of each of those added in here, add a spoonful of coconut cream. It's just delightful for keeping you warm in the wintertime. In the summertime, I don't feel like I need the warming as much and the creaminess as much. I just like something cool and refreshing. And so just a tea bag of, herbal tea with a few drops of some of your favorite essential oils to give it flavor. This is really good for quenching that thirst and also providing a little bit of flavor, but you're removing those chemicals that are harmful and actually adding something good that's going to cleanse and support your body. Now let's talk about these just briefly. So lime, wild orange, any of your citrus oils are cleansing, alkalizing. They're very purifying, but they also jumpstart your metabolism, good for digestion as well. Your mints are always good for good digestion. So spearmint is good for that. Cinnamon and ginger are good for immune boosting. And turmeric and black pepper are really good for immunity as well as targeting inflammation. And they really work well together. So you can't go wrong with any of these. It just really makes a nice, tasty drink. All right. So the next thing that we can trade in is sugar. We already talked about that as far as in the drinks and how high sugar is. So here's one of the favorite things that I do to trade in sugar. And this is actually what I call my almond butter fudge. Basically, it's mostly almond butter. It has a little bit of protein powder, a little bit of honey. You could do, we're going to talk about some other sweeteners that we can actually trade in, like allulose or monk fruit. It looks much like sugar, but they're a sugar replacement that actually it's no calorie, no carb, no glycemic, and it's really safe and good for balancing your blood sugar. And that's one of the #1 reasons to cut down on all these carbs and all these sugars. So this is a great protein replacement. Most of what you're eating for snacks in those in-between times or those lull times is carbs, 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 lots of sugars, lots of carbs. And this is protein. This is protein. Now I've added some sunflower seeds and other seeds in here as well. There's so many fun things that you can do with this. And the thing that I like to do is actually put it in a dish and cut it up in squares and leave it in my refrigerator with the lid on. And it can last 1 or 2 or 3 months. You just go get a square at a time, and it's wonderful, tasty. Children love it too. And in these bars, I actually always add these 3 favorites: the ginger, the wild orange, and the cinnamon. Again, these are all good for cleansing, alkalizing, immune boosting. You can't go wrong with these. And the flavor is so yummy. You will love the flavor that essential oils provide, and really is tasty, and something that you'll enjoy as well. And like I said, it's good protein snack, not your carb snack. So the next thing we can do is trade in our grains. Now, a lot of people say, I could never trade in my grains. I don't know how I could eat without breads. Well, I thought the same thing, but over the last few years, I've been learning how to trade out those grains and replace them with other foods. Did you know that you can make cookies and cakes and cupcakes and all kinds of things, even wraps, without grains? And it's simple too. So here's an example. These are my keto cupcakes. And you know what's in them? There's just almond butter and butter, as well as the carob or cacao that you're using, plus the monk fruit or the allulose. And then you've got your baking powder and whatever, but it's mostly the almond butter and the carob powder, or like I said, cacao powder, either one. You can make these wonderful cupcakes. And it's hard to believe that you could really do this without grain and without sugar and have them taste wonderful. So I'm actually going to do something fun with this. We're also going to talk about trading in dairy, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. But I'm going to show you how we can do that now, because trading in dairy as well as trading in your sugar and your grains is huge. And that's what we're doing for this. So I'm going to show you how we can do this really quickly here. So one of the best ways to trade in your dairy is with coconut milk. And on the top of a can of coconut milk, you have the coconut cream. Now, of course, this is, in a cooler climate, or you've got to put it in the refrigerator. So basically, I just like to spoon off the coconut cream. Look how thick it is. And that is great just as a frosting itself. So I'm only doing about 1/2 cup right now, but normally you could do about 1 cup. And then we're going to put in a little bit of this powdered monk fruit or allulose or whatever. It doesn't take a whole lot. Need another spoon here. And I like to powder it up, to a couple of cups in the blender at a time so that I have it. But I'm going to do about a rounded tablespoon here. And then add a tiny bit of vanilla. And maybe 1/2 of a cupful or 1/4 of a cupful, not very much. I like the vanilla in it though. And then I always add a drop or 2 of wild orange or lemon, because it just gives it nice flavor. So that's all you do. Then you just stir it up. And it is wonderful for a frosting. And it's so simple to even frost. I like to just take it and roll the cupcake in, and well, we've got a frosted cupcake. So additionally, if you would like to, forgot to get it, but I'll get it right fast. If you would like to do carob or cacao for the frosting, just add in another tablespoon, or, depending on how much you're using. I don't do a lot of measuring, as you can see, but I kind of have an idea of how much is needed. So just stir that in as well. And we're just whisking this in really quick. You can see that. And again, we are just going to stick it in here, roll it around, and give it a nice little frost. So now we've got our keto cupcakes there. Got a plain one, we've got a vanilla one, we've got a carob or chocolate one, and yummy, yummy. They're really good and tasty. I think you'll just love the flavor. And like I said, they're nice and fluffy, and you won't believe how wonderful these really are. They're tasty, but they're healthy for you. No grains, no sugar, no dairy, and you've got a wonderful food there. Okay, we're going to just put these aside really quickly. Now the next one is cookies. You can make wonderful cookies without flour as well. Now these are cookies that I made. They have the almond butter and the sunflower butter. So I do like using almond butter and sunflower butter in place of peanut butter. I kind of like the combination best of all. And peanut butter is actually not that good for you, even if it's organic. There's so many peanut allergies for a reason, because peanuts grow underground and there's a lot of molds in them, which is what causes peanut allergies. So the molds aren't good for you regardless. And that's why it's not really that great of a food. So if you can choose other nut butters, it's better. This has got a little bit of butter in it, as well as our monk fruit or allulose. And then I've added a little bit of coconut flour, as well as, didn't get that out either, hemp seed. And of course, we've got some either orange or tangerine in here, as well as vanilla, soda. It does call for cream of tartar. And if you're using monk fruit, it will go green if you don't put that cream of tartar in it. So make sure you put that cream of tartar in. So these are nice chewy cookies. I just love. They're just really tasty. They're kind of like a soft peanut butter cookie, but like I said, really good, really soft and chewy, and they're really crowd pleasers. Kids will love it too. They'll never know that they don't have the sugar and the grain in them, but they'll love the flavor for sure. Okay, another way to do without grains is actually using a lot of eggs. So eggs is more of the binder. So I found that you can do a lot of things without eggs. So I'm also going to make some quick wraps here today. This is one thing that I actually enjoy making because they are simple, and actually I love making wraps, but none of us like a lot of time spent. So basically this is a mixture. I'm gonna stir it up just a little bit. I blended it in the blender and then put it in this jar. So it has mostly eggs, but it has a little bit of almond flour, as well as arrowroot powder. That kind of is the binder for this. And so it has a couple of other ingredients, your oil, as well as just a toothpick of rosemary. Gives it a great flavor. And I say a toothpick, you just stick that toothpick in and kind of move it around, because one drop is way too much. So the toothpick just gives it a little bit of a flavor, but not too much. So I have oil on my brush. I don't like sprays in my kitchen. I do like to oil things with a pastry brush. And this is the way that I prefer doing it. And it works. It's so simple to do. We are just going to heat this up and get it a little bit warm so that it can be ready to make our wraps. And I can show you how easy this is. Now, I'll warn you that sometimes the first wrap doesn't turn out as good. So we go for number 2. So we'll see. And sometimes it has to do with, the skillet is getting warm and, getting the right amount of oil there. So I like to do just a scant 1/4 cup for each wrap. So once you feel it's warm, and this looks warm, I'm just going to pour it in. And if you can kind of see that, I've just covered the bottom of it. And then you just let it cook. And like I said, these are very similar to crepes, but they have a little bit more flour so they can be nice and pliable. But they're also really good. The thing I like about these is I can make these, put them in the fridge, stack them up, and pull them out the next day, and they're just wonderful. They're pliable and they're really nice. So, this one is saying I don't want to be really nice. Like I said, sometimes the first one doesn't work as well. So we have to go for number 2. But we'll give it a try anyway. Okay. I think the second one will work better this time. At any rate, it actually is doing pretty good. That's all you do. So why don't we go for number 2 and see if we can get a better one this time. Whoops. So got number 2 on there. And like I said, you got to just kind of play with the temperature as well as, how much grease on the pan to make sure it's the right amount. But I found that these are wonderful wraps. You'll love, putting some shredded chicken or just hummus across the down the middle, and then sprouts, lettuce, avocado. You can even do kind of more like a fajita, stir fry some onions and red peppers, red pepper sauce, whatever. There's so many things that you can do with wraps. Wraps are really kind of a fun thing. So again, there we are. And just to show you, this is just, it's wonderful. You can see it holds together nice. It's pliable, no grains. We've just done it with eggs and the almond flour and a little bit of arrowroot powder and a little bit of oil, salt, and just that little touch of rosemary. And we've got a nice wrap that we can enjoy. It's fun to make wraps. And like I said, this won't take long. They just whip up very nicely in a short amount of time. And they're really kind of fun to make. So keep that in mind when you're making your foods. So this out of the way, just one second. Okay, last but not least is trading in your dairy. So a lot of people don't know how to trade in dairy. There's so many ways you can. You saw by making the frosting how easy that is to replace the dairy, and you don't miss flavor. You're not sacrificing flavor at all. Now, this is one of my favorites. I like to do an almond dip. This is an almond dip that is made of almonds, and wow, I have several essential oils in there. Actually, black pepper, coriander, and lemon I have in this. I love the black pepper, coriander, lemon. For the little bit of the yellow flavor, I have the turmeric in it, the powder, because it's more yellow. I have some other seasonings in there. I'm not sure exactly what I'll, but this is wonderful. You will love the dip. It's a great, great dip. And just, I mean, kids love it too. They love it. My grandkids love this almond dip. So wonderful. Very tasty. Again, you're not sacrificing anything. Then again, I think you're hopefully seeing a common thread. If you can trade all those carbs for proteins and healthy fats, you're doing your body a whole lot better. Now, you may be saying, you're sounding like keto and paleo. Well, these diets are ones that I promote more so. And the reason is because we are bombarded with carbs. And if we can trade away those carbs, those sugars, and even the dairy and replace them with healthy fats and proteins, that's when we're really doing our bodies some real good. Okay, a couple other things, replacing your dairy. This is an awesome pudding. And you know what it's made out of? You won't believe it. Avocado. 2 avocados in here. Now, I'm one that uses carob powder instead of cacao, but you can use cacao too. So we're putting that in the blender with our coconut cream or coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut cream, both actually. And again, a little bit of sweetening. I like to add the peppermint and lemon essential oils. This makes it, I mean, the lemon just brings out the flavor. You know, on a lot of recipes, we add lemon to bring out the flavor too. But also the peppermint, it's not too strong, but it's just enough to just make it tasty. And then all I've done is topped it with a little bit of walnuts and a raspberry. This is such good pudding. You won't believe the creaminess. No one would ever believe it's really done with mostly avocado. So you got to see this. It's just wonderful. Hopefully you can see it and how yummy it is. You just will be amazed how tasty it is. Last but not least, this is a cheesecake. And I love making cheesecakes for my family. My family really do enjoy the cheesecakes. And what I do is I make them with the Daya cream cheese. The Daya cream cheese is made from coconut cream. And it's just awesome. It tastes just like cream cheese. There's a lot of cream cheeses that are out there, but many of them have a lot of fillers and synthetics and preservatives and stuff in it, even hydrogenated oils, and I don't like that. So this is very clean. It's just coconut milk to make it, and it's really tasty. So for your crust, there's no grains. It's just walnuts that I blended in the blender. I've added a tiny bit of the monk fruit and a little bit of butter, so it presses in really nicely. And then the coconut cream, the coconut cream cheese, a little bit of sweetening, marbled it with the raspberries and topped it with some sliced almonds. So it's wonderful in flavor. And again, we are trading all of those carbs for healthy fats and proteins. And so there's a variety of ideas of what you can do to trade out many of those foods that you're eating and create healthy foods that are also tasty. So just to refresh and what we went over with, start with what you're drinking and add your essential oils to them to make great drinks. Trade out your sugars and make all kinds of things without sugar. You can do that. I have the recipes for you. Trade out your grains, make some good cookies and some wraps. And there's so many things that you can do in trading out your grains, trading out your dairy, making frostings and cheesecake and your puddings, as well as dips. Without any of those dairy products, you can trade all of those out. It's actually pretty simple. So here's what I want to offer you tonight. Number one, I'm going to share these recipes with you. This is where you can get the recipes tonight. That click there, it will give you the opportunity to download. If you would like to take a personal wellness assessment, now I explained that to you earlier. That is the way that I can help you. You go through the wellness assessment and then we can get on the phone and go from there. So it's a great opportunity to be able to help me get to some of the challenges that you may be facing. And then if you need help or have questions, definitely email me, because I'm here to help you. I want to help you, and I want to help you in a number of ways. So thank you so much for being here tonight.